History, okay.
It's meowtastic.
Okay. What's that?
You lost it already. Golly.
I'm not going to be able to do this. I told you.
He's still looking like what?
I told you I was not going to be able to keep a straight face on that. Doing what? What?
Are you ready?
Doing what?
Let's meow.
Are you ready?
How you feeling right meow, Ben?
Right meow, I'm great. How many times can I say meow?
So
Here we go, meow.
Was there a limit on it, or was it just a certain?
we're just gonna try to see how many times. So we had a 2v2. We had a 2v2, and I'll do a formal intro, but this is funny. We had a 2v2 on Sunday. Me and Jason, Collin, and his buddy, and Collin bamboozled us with his buddy's handicap.
I didn't know.
So
yeah, I think he hustled us hard.
They wiped
You've
us.
seen Dan swing.
Okay, yeah.
They wiped us 5-4, and it was all Dan.
It was
And our
largely Dan,
bet
yeah.
was
It
Collin and I don't
it
bet
was.
money, so we bet that whoever lost had to do the meow trick on the podcast. And
nice.
I knew I wasn't gonna be able to keep a straight face. Like I knew it was gonna. All right, welcome back to another episode of Scrambling Dads. You got Jason and Alex here, and little change of venue. We are in IGP, and we have Ben and Collin with us. We're going to dig into a little bit of their history. We've partnered with them now, and it's been amazing. We just got done with an hour-long lesson in which Ben told me I'm not ready for a tournament in 3 weeks. So we're going to see how that goes. But glad to be here, glad to have y'all. Thank you for taking the time.
Likewise. Happy to be here and honored to be on the podcast.
Our first in-person guest, so this is near and
Yeah,
dear to
it
my
is.
heart.
Nice.
Y'all have been a big part of my golf journey for 4 years now, ish.
Wow.
So glad y'all are the first ones. Glad to bring Jason here. Let's get into what this place is, what your journey was to get here, Ben.
I almost want to just have Collin speak this, but because his perspective is pretty fun and interesting. But yeah, I think it's, a lot of history in the making, if you will. There's a junior golf background, grew up in San Antonio. Dad was retired Army, so grew up on a military course, grew up on a par 3 course down the street that was really junky and bad golf balls, bad range, lots of dirt. But just kind of hung out with my dad out there and wasn't in love with it. Played soccer, baseball, basketball, and then golf was like, I guess I'll just, do it to satisfy the old man. And, just kept doing it. And then at some point I was like, you know what, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat his
It's
ass
always good to beat
on
the
the
dad.
golf course. And I was motivated. And so, yeah, kept playing, spent some summers competing a little bit, playing in little junior events, and then really enjoyed it. Played in all the sort of big junior events at that time, FCWT, AJGA events, and started setting my sights on getting a scholarship. That was the big deal. It was like Dad said one day, "All right, son, you need to pick between soccer and golf." This was in 7th grade. You need to get a scholarship.
pressure.
You need to get a scholarship because I'm not paying for your school. I was like, oh wow, okay, I got to make a decision. And I vividly remember this moment. It's like, man, I really like soccer. Like, I'm pretty good at it. I like my team. But I could just sort of feel his presence. And I was like, I sense that he wants me to pick golf here. So I was like, let's do golf. He was like, okay, put your clothes out in the morning. I'll pick you up from school and we'll go to the golf course. If you don't put your clothes out in the morning, we're not going to the golf course. I'm like, all right. So I put my little golf outfit out. He'd bring it to me, pick me up at school, I'd throw my golf clothes on, we'd go to the golf course. And so work ethic was instilled pretty early. We were pretty serious about it. He was intense. He was the cigarette smoking, former U.S. Army, abrasive individual in some ways. Like, I don't give a shit kind of attitude. But it was awesome. We had a fun junior golf experience. Ended up playing college golf at Odessa College, so went out to West Texas, Played a couple years there at a JUCO, which was an amazing experience. We had some awesome teams. We won 2 national championships. I think like over 2 years, 12 or 13 of us went on to play D1 golf from JUCO.
Oh, wow.
A bunch of guys went
that's
to.
good.
Yeah, 3 of our guys went to OU. I went to North Texas. We had a UTA guy, a Houston guy, Boise State. We had a really good squad. So that was a great experience for me. Allowed me to get some of my sillies out from my freshman and sophomore year. There's not a whole lot to do out in Odessa besides play golf and
The sillies.
get in trouble. But transferred to North Texas, and that was cool. I basically grew up in San Antonio, but was born in Dallas. My mom was here in DFW, so I kind of was able to come back home and really enjoyed my experience at UNT. Had great teammates. Amazing experience. I started caddying at my junior year at Dallas National. So Collin and I have some caddy experience under our belts. That was a really great experience for me. Dallas National is premier. I was out there just kind of young and dumb and trying to figure it out, make a little cash on the weekends. It was very flexible, so I could still compete, go to school, work a couple days a week on the weekend, make a little cash, and started networking and meeting some folks. And then that led to basically ending my college career. It was like, I'm going to go pro or I'm getting out of golf. That was kind of a love-hate relationship to a certain degree. It was a lot of pressure. I wanted to perform. I set some goals for myself. I said if I can get to like a 3rd-team All-American, I'm turning pro. I can justify spending 40, 50 grand a year to do this. Didn't reach some of those goals, for better or worse. That was my approach to it, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to follow that route of just defaulting to pro mini tour golf following my collegiate career as much as I wanted to. Decided that I was going to go to grad school, and I became a grad assistant golf coach. So then I was hanging out with the coaches at UNT, men's and women's, and that totally changed my perspective on staying in the golf industry or not. At that stage it was all about myself, my own game, my own ego, my performance. I put in the work, I have control over that, and then as a golf coach, it's like, wow, okay, this is a totally different perspective. I got to go bird's eye view. I've got to, try to help the coach out, help the team out, the culture, the competition. On-course performance in collegiate golf is pretty intense. You got usually a head coach and assistant coach out there kind of caddying for your players. And so it was an amazing experience. Carlos Ortiz was one of our players, Rodolfo. We had some studs. And so that was kind of a treat because, I got to see that next level of player come through our program, and I got to experience that on the coaching side. So kind of took a liking to it. Long story short, had an opportunity to take over a head coaching position at Henderson State University in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. So randomly, the AD calls me one day, and I'm taking a nap midday. Answer the phone, don't know who it is. It's like, hey, coach, this is Cale Gober from Henderson State. I was like, oh, hi, coach. What's going on? He's like, well, I want to interview you. I'm like, for what? He's like, for the head coaching position. I'm like, aren't you in Nevada? He's like, no, we're in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was Henderson, Nevada. All right, yeah, cool. Let's do it. He's like, all right, let's schedule a meeting next week. We're going to do a formal interview. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it next Wednesday. I was like, man, that call went bad. That was a horrible call. I'm literally half asleep. I don't know where this guy's school is, and I'm just lost. Turns out, Cale's like just an absolute gem. He's an amazing athletic director. Has had a heck of a career. We have a formal interview. It's Cale, it's Ken Duke, who's a golf legend, and a couple others. And I prepared for the interview, and ended up going out to Arkansas, went for a visit, and fell in love with it. I will say this, going into it, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to go to some small town in the middle of nowhere and coach a bunch of kids who probably don't care that much or as much as I care. And I just didn't think I wanted to do it. My dad said, hey, dude, you should give it a shot. I think you'd be a good coach. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Worst case, I do it for a year. I learn a lot, and I get out of there. So I took the position, finished up my master's degree while I was coaching there, and absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, I just was head over heels going through this experience of coaching a team, recruiting, building a program, competing at a high level. It was some learning curve for sure. That first semester was rough. We weren't very good. We were pretty much the worst team in the conference.
That's a NCAA Division III.
D2.
D2?
D2. Yep. So we had scholarships.
Okay.
We had, full budget for, both teams, men's and women.
Now, are you head coach of both teams as well?
Had both programs.
Okay.
So fortunately, I had a good grad assistant who helped me out. And yeah, we ended up really turning both programs around. The next year, we made it to the postseason. Over the next 5 to 6 years, my successor, he did an amazing job. We ended up becoming the team of the decade in the Great American Conference.
Really?
Wow.
So, we were winning conference titles year in, year out. We were making it to regionals and nationals. And that wasn't even on our radar when I started. So we transformed the program. We had support from Ken. Kale was a great AD. We were able to recruit some players that really had no business playing at our school, but we were able to recruit them. And yeah, we really made a lot of progress over those few years. And now to this day, Henderson State is really a renowned program in Division II golf, men's and women's. And actually a lot of kids from DFW end up going to Henderson State now because it's on the map. They've got a good program. It's a good town, good school. So that was a fun experience. My trajectory at that stage was, all right, let's keep going. I'm going to go coach mid-major. Maybe I'll go coach at North Texas. And then eventually I'm going to be the head coach at Stanford, and we're going to win national championships. That was the vision. And then out of nowhere, an old buddy of mine, junior golf friend, he's like, "Hey, dude, come out to Los Angeles, and let's go to a Lakers game." I was like, "I hate the Lakers, but let's hang out, let's play some golf and check out the business." He had a little something cooking up, and so I said, "All right, I'll fly out." Went from my town of 10,000 people in Arkadelphia, went to LA. First time I've ever been there. It was big change. And, I kind of saw this opportunity to work with these golf fitness experts. There was this, essentially we had a bay inside of a boutique golf fitness gym. And the opportunity was to basically run this bay, and partner up with the fitness experts and build this performance business.
And that couldn't have been a big thing. I mean, how long ago was that?
This would have been 2013.
Okay, so that was probably right on the front end of indoor simulator to public. I mean, pros have always had that, and fitters have always had that.
TrackMan was early.
Yeah.
Then it was still probably TrackMan. It was just then TrackMan 3, TrackMan 2.
Yeah. So you're kind of on the cutting edge of bringing that to general public for
simulators weren't very accurate then.
Yeah.
Spin rates were all over the place. Sometimes they still are. And the graphics weren't that great, and it wasn't as much of a market as it is now.
Well, and you're speaking foreign language as far as all of this data that everyone's used to seeing now. But
3D ball flight. It's like, wow.
12 years ago, general public didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah, ball flight laws. It came to life. It had been around, but, attaching metrics to it, being able to display those numbers, changed the game. Changed the way coaches coach. For a little bit, didn't go so great. People went down the wrong direction for a couple of years, but things really turned a corner, and hands down right now we're in the best place we've ever been in terms of having access to good information. The amount of good coaches that exist today is largely due to the fact that we've got more information at our hands, we've got more mentors, we've got more access, we've got better data. So it doesn't mean you're going to be providing good information and coaching appropriately, but at least now we have metrics to measure and not guess. So yeah, it's changed a little bit. That was 12 years ago.
Well, speaking of history, I want to go back and dissect a couple things here. So it's funny, just an observation, right? I think if we polled the four of us, we already know Ben's answer. How many of us got into golf because of our dad? There's probably a good percentage of us that raise our hands. So you got to be a little happy that he pushed you into that, because I have tried getting my oldest into it, and he's decent and he could be good, but he wants to chase lacrosse and all this other stuff, and I'm battling that fine line of like, dude, you can be good, like you're gonna think in 20 years, but it's hard to make, like you're 7th grade, he's going into 6th grade, right? It's hard to make a 6th grader understand that it's actually a good decision for them.
Yeah, this gets kind of interesting. My dad was such a, like alpha war hero type, like my way or the highway. Team sports were actually really challenging because he would challenge the coach. He would scream at refs. He was that guy who on the soccer field, the ref was like, "Hey, dude, you got to go to the parking lot. Like, I can't have you cussing at me as I make a call."
He's the one that's always ejected.
Dude, he was fiery. And so I was like, you know what? It's actually less embarrassing to just play this individual sport than to have this team environment where, we were kind of an outcast in some cases, where if my dad didn't agree with the coach or the player, his decisions, was like, he just let it be known. It's like, whew, this is one way to handle things. So I learned a lot of, how to be a little more PC, and also in golf, I was just like, you know what, this is our rules, this is our style, this is we do what we want to do, we travel where we want to travel, and there was an appeal of that. Now I love team sports, and college golf was a team sport.
Yeah, very much more than pro golf, obviously. Very
much, and that's the whole topic. Is golf's pretty lonely, especially at the highest level.
They need more team.
I agree.
At the high level.
I agree. Yeah, it's a lonely sport. So, you're away from family, you're just solo. And, that's not easy. Tennis, I guess, is similar.
Yeah.
You're kind of a one-man show. But anyways, yeah, he I was motivated to spend quality time with him, and golf was our connection. That military golf course that we were members at, we went out there all the time. Right? SOS, they call it shit on shingles. Not good food at the commissary and things like that.
My mom used to say that. We had dinner. What is it? SOS. I'm like,
yeah. It was like bread and gravy and I think ground beef.
It's mystery meat.
I hung out with a bunch of old war vets, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. That was kind of my community. I was an only child, so it was me and all these older folks that enjoy golf during the summer times, and actually in San Antonio it's year round. So yeah, I'm in hindsight so happy that he pushed me to actually not just follow golf and pursue a scholarship, but to go coach golf collegiately.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a big turning point, because it was getting out of the golf industry was kind of the aim at that point. That kept me in it, and I'm so happy that I ended up staying in it, because it truly is. It's been a passion for a long time.
No, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, with all of this, one other question I did have. You said Odessa, or sorry, Midland.
Odessa. Yep.
OC. It produced a lot of high caliber talent that went on to play D1. Is that because of the same concept that Tech generally produces some good talent with the weather out there and the wind and just the mechanics that you have to be successful? And same reason Scotland, England produces good talent.
It's interesting.
Because it's all weather. Your swing is more technical than someone that grows up maybe in California that doesn't have to deal with that kind of wind.
It's a great question. Big topic. Actually, you don't really see a lot of success out of Scottish golf these days. You got Bobby Mack and not many others. And so I think, and to a certain degree, like how many tournaments a year are these guys playing in links conditions with 35-mile-an-hour winds?
Yeah.
They're actually playing in Florida when the weather's perfect. They're
playing a lot more parkland courses.
Yeah, they're playing in California when the weather's nice. They're in Arizona when the weather's nice. So, yes and no. I think, you can maladapt to conditions that are overly windy and then go to a normal golf course under normal conditions and struggle, because you're so accustomed to just flighting it all day and keeping it low and using the ground game. So you really need to be versatile. You need to be able to play in all those conditions. You need to be able to play parkland and no wind, full wind, Bermuda, bent. You need to be able to adapt. So I think Texas Tech, for example, incredible coaching. Like, just their coaching staff is phenomenal. They obviously have done a great job recruiting. They've got good resources. They're playing a great schedule. They've fostered their talent. And I will say, West Texas, you've got pretty mild weather year-round, which is good. You know, there's workarounds, you know, for schools that are up north. But it is nice to be able to basically have 365 days of golf. Biggest surprise for me going out to Odessa was how pure the greens were. Like Odessa Country Club, the links course, the club course, the greens were absolute perfection. So it's not very humid, it's pretty dry, they were able to take care of the greens, they didn't have any extreme weather. During the summer they were able to maintain. So it was the first time actually coming from San Antonio to be able to putt on greens that were absolutely pure day in, day out, and we're running 10, 11 on the stem on a regular basis. So my putting got so much better just having true greens to practice on a daily basis. Growing up in San Antonio, I had to deal with grain, and so that served me well because I can read grain, I can handle grain. But then going out to Odessa, everything was so true. So my putting just improved tremendously. My swing changed playing in, you know, like literally 20 to 40 mile an hour gusts. In the springtime, it's one of the windiest places in the country. So, you know, all my equipment was tailored for that. And not coincidentally, where we won national championship was in Dodge City, Kansas, which is super windy. And it's considered one of the windiest spots in the U.S. So, yeah, you practice in windy conditions, you're going to perform well in windy conditions. But then if I've got to switch gears and, you know, go play Bethpage, and the greens are super firm, and I've got thick rough, and I've got to get the ball way up in the air, you know, I need to be able to switch gears and go on that end of the spectrum. So versatility, adaptability at the highest level is absolutely crucial. So I can't just credit the West Texas.
It's not just the West Texas.
Yeah. But it's interesting because my in-laws, they live out in West Texas, and I play a little muni course there. And great conditions for West Texas, drought. They're always suffering for irrigation, but the greens are probably some of the best greens I have played on outside of a few in California. So what you said makes sense now. Like the conditions, it's not humid, and just they can treat it well.
Yeah. That was shocking to me. It was a pleasant surprise for sure.
So how did you get then from TrackMan Simulator to this?
Yeah, about 4 years in LA. We boosted. So yeah, I ended up leaving Henderson State. That was a tough decision. I was like, yeah, let's go win national titles. To, all right, I'm leaving college golf. I'm leaving the NCAA, which I'd grown to love. I really enjoyed my couple of years doing that, being in that environment, being a coach, being in the athletic department. I really enjoyed it. But I thought, you know what, this is an opportunity, it's rare. If it doesn't work out, I can always go back to college coaching and start with another program and get back into it. But on the entrepreneurial side, the opportunity to partner up, start a business in golf, it was a rare opportunity. So I decided to take that chance, put everything in a U-Haul, drove out to LA, arrived on my birthday in 2013, and found an apartment within the next 10 days and hit the ground running. So my partner and I at the time, we just grew the business, bootstrapped it. We eventually moved into a space. We were teaching lessons before we had our permits. I'm like looking at framing and hoping somebody doesn't shank one into the wood framing. And I'm laying on the floor one night thinking, I don't think this is gonna work. This is crazy. The build out was nuts. We had some people, but it was just two of us. You know, day by day we built it, you know, brick by brick. We brought in a coach, we brought in a trainer. We kept beautifying the space. We kept pouring back into the space as we, you know, sold a package of 20 sessions. We'd just pour that back into painting the bathrooms and making sure that the technology was spot on. And, it was a great lesson for me in terms of hospitality, in terms of, managing a business. I was a golf coach. I was a college coach. So, I wanted to just make sure that my players were practicing and learning and improving. All of a sudden, in a business context, it was like, yeah, I need to, teach you and then get you out of the bay and then teach the next person. And that was weird to me because, as a college golf coach, if that player wanted to keep practicing, I'd turn the lights on. I'd stay out there all night if I needed to. So it was this big shift. And, I used to tell Collin this all the time. Like, the first time I ever called somebody, or first time I took a phone call, hey, this has been at, so-and-so golf performance, and, how does it work? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Here's the pricing. Here's how it works. And then I learned, look, that's the person at the other end of the line. How's your game? Who are you? Where are you coming from? Why are you calling us? So it took me a little while to learn that, but I did, and that was extremely valuable in really where we're at right now. So I was there. We bootstrapped it. We grew it. We had 20-something employees by the time I ended up exiting the company. We had 2 locations, and it was a wild ride. 4 years. Lots of yerba mate and coffee and caffeine, and basically working 6.5 days a week. I was single, and I could just go. I was young and ready and willing, and it was fun. I was very loyal to the business, and we grew it, and we created a pretty cool brand. Met a lot of cool people, played golf all over the place, Riv and LACC and Valley Club, and the list goes on. Had some amazing experiences, made some great friends. Played Cypress, played Pebble, all those amazing courses. And then, long story short, it just kind of came to an end, and ended up moving back to Dallas in 2017. So came back to Dallas, exited the company, and I was like, cool, I think I'm done with golf. Like, that was a bit of a challenging exit. It was a tough season of life, and so I was like, let's do real estate. So this is actually second go around with real estate. First go around was finish my college career, went and got my real estate license. I was like, this is crazy. Let's go back to school, get my graduate degree. Now part 2, did it again for like 6 months. Like, man, I'm not very good at this. I've got a lot to learn. I think I could get there eventually, but man, I had a friend tell me, he's like, in golf, you're kind of like the hawk. Like, you've got some authority and experience, and you're pretty good. In real estate, you're like the rabbit, and hawks are just going to eat you alive. I was like, shit. I was like, I don't want to be the rabbit.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to be the hawk.
I think I should be the hawk. I was like, it's already there. I could maybe learn to be a hawk one day in real estate, but that might take some time.
Real estate business is tough.
It's tough.
It's hard.
It's a lot of seed planting and a lot of patience and longevity and persistence, and it's great once you kind of get it rolling. It's amazing, but I wasn't there, and I didn't really have many folks to mentor me in that space, and so I started teaching golf again because I love it, and I wasn't even teaching for money. I like teaching, and so realized here in DFW, I was like, there's nothing really that exists that is not fragmented. There isn't anything that's a one-stop. There isn't anything that's truly holistic. There isn't a facility in DFW that has a club fitting department, that has a fitness department, that has coaching, and all of these pieces under one roof, experts in each department. And then you talk about mental game and strategy and all things performance optimization. Like, if you've got a really good coach, he might cover some of those pieces, but he's not an expert club fitter. And who are they working with? Do they have a club fitting resource in their back pocket? Maybe, maybe not. And do they have a fitness resource in their back pocket, a golf specific trainer that can really help take their athlete to that next level? It's and if they do, is there an open line of communication? Is there truly this team for each individual, whether they're a competitive golfer, whether they're a tour player, whether they're a beginner? Why not have a beginner with the team surrounding them? Because if I want to improve, why not improve in every facet? And if I can improve in every facet, my short game's improving, my ball striking's improving, my mental game is better, my strategy is better, my equipment is better, I'm moving better, range of motion, patterns, etc. Why not chip away at each segment instead of just putting all my eggs in one basket? Well, I got to perfect my golf swing. Well, you might perfect your golf swing, but you still can't score. Or maybe the equipment's faulty, right? Or maybe you're obsessing over the mechanics and then it doesn't translate to the golf course. So, one-stop shop, everything's under one roof. And so that was it. That was really like, all right, let's find a location because this doesn't exist. And it should.
Still doesn't exist outside of you.
Not really.
In this market, you have a lot of people that have bays that may be open to public or even membership style. You have some that might have a coach that has an agreement to coach there, but as far as I know, this is the only product that you've put all 5 facets of golf in one house.
Yeah.
Fitness, leisure hitting, coaching, fittings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
all things scoring and performance and understanding how to practice. Motor learning is a huge topic within our coaches' discussions. So yeah, that's the other thing is, you can just say it, but are you going to execute it? And that's always been a tall order and something that we don't take for granted. It's cool that we've got an amazing team who we're all hungry to learn, we're all coachable, we're all malleable, we all want to improve as coaches, we're all pretty selfless and care about the individual in front of us. And we do our best to speak the same language. And, that's a daily practice, but when this environment fosters that and allows that to occur, there's some magic that happens. I'm able to call on Seth and say, hey, what do you see here? He's feeling a little tight, shoulders a little sticky, didn't sleep well last night, whatever, and he's able to come in and help me with his set of eyes and his expertise navigate and troubleshoot. Is this something that we can mitigate pretty quickly, or do we need to switch gears and do something different today? Or maybe we need to jump in the gym and spend 10 minutes with Seth and get some activations going and
stretching and mobility.
And then we're back at it, versus it being a wash. Collin can speak to how many club fittings we've had come in that turned into coaching sessions. It's like, I really want to buy a set of clubs today. It's like, well, here are the options, right? We could fit you to a set and sort of Band-Aid or, put, makeup on a pig here, or, we could do these drills and move the needle in this fashion for a couple of weeks and then revisit the fitting. And it changes the fitting entirely. So to have that flexibility is just awesome. We're not stuck saying, all right, we got to just sell a set of clubs today.
Yeah.
No, let's do what's right for that individual and what's better for them in the long run. This is a big investment. I'm going to be playing these clubs for months and years. So if I can make one adjustment that changes the fitting, that's going to be a much better investment over the long haul.
Well, and with fittings, you're either going to go one of two ways. You're going to sell a set to someone, they're going to hate you because it was the wrong set, or you're going to sell a set to someone, they're going to love you because it's the perfect set. There's no really much middle ground, so playing the long game and doing what's right for the customer, I can imagine, is a lot more fruitful 5 years down the road.
That's something.
I think I'm a product of that. Y'all have treated me like family here, and I keep coming back 4 years later.
That was something that I learned as a coach once we entered this experience with Cool Clubs as a partner, having more fitting resources and education. That's the thing. Michael Neff, he owns Gears 3D. It's motion capture technology. It's the best of the best. Really cool Golf Digest Steph Curry Gears video out there if y'all want to check that out. Neff is a believer in basically a good golf coach also knows what's happening with the golf club.
Yep.
And that's easier said than done. What is happening with the lie angle? How is the player responding to that? The loft, the profile, the length, the swing weight, all of these pieces really, that is, we talked about constraints-led approach, Jason. It's like that can be something that I can maladapt to and, develop a faulty pattern because the club's not fit properly, or it's too upright, or it's too long, or whatever. Or it's something that's going to really help me shape my swing and reward me when the patterns are moving in the right direction. And dude, we see that every single day.
Yep.
All the time. It's like, well, I stand up and, I stall and my arms straighten out and, I early extend, I stop my pivot. Well, if the club is, 4 degrees too upright, it's too long, and it's built for the old slice pattern that you used to have, the club's engineered to go through the turf a certain way, and that's the only way you could do it. And every time you swung properly or, a little more horizontally through the strike, you didn't get rewarded for it. Heel struck the ground, you felt kind of rough through impact, the toe closed too much, and you get that smooth strike. So I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. Let me try to figure this out. And, I use that as an example because we see that pretty frequently. There's a lot of stallers, early extenders, whose equipment is actually one of the main variables that are leading them down that path, down that pattern in particular. So just giving them a flat club doesn't necessarily fix them.
Yeah.
But it allows them to then get rewarded for moving a little more Hogan-esque, if you will.
Well, I'm glad you brought up fittings. I'm going to pivot to Collin a little bit here. Less about how you got here, but your transition with IGP coach, obviously, that's how we met.
Sure.
But now you're moving into more fittings. So I guess talk through that, because I know you're a gearhead, similar to me. We talk data, so I know it's a passion of yours, but how has your coaching background helped you on the fitting side?
Well, I think kind of like Ben was saying, it's levers, right? So being able to kind of pull these different levers based on what each individual needs is a powerful tool to have. From a fitting standpoint, I think the thing that really fascinates me about that is it's solving a puzzle, and every puzzle is different, right? So every time you get a player in there, they're going to be at a different stage in their golfing journey, right? They have different progressions. Everybody swings the club a little bit differently. What can I do from an equipment standpoint that is going to move the needle for them in the most expedient fashion, right? And that takes a different flavor for every person that goes into fitting with it. So,
What's been more rewarding for you?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rewarding part is helping people get better at golf, right? And sometimes, like Ben was talking about, you might be 5 minutes into a fitting, and sometimes I just know this is not going to be a fitting today. This is going to be more coaching, and we're going to revisit fitting at a certain point. Sometimes it's a little bit simpler. 1 or 2 small things can get things moving in the right direction. Now we're getting more accurate data that I can work with, right? Repeatability in the pattern, and that leads to a more functional fit at the end of the day. I'm not going to recommend something to somebody because they want new golf clubs. I'm going to recommend it because it's going to help them play better golf.
Yeah, absolutely. It just goes back to it's crazy. It's no knock on any fitters out there. There's a lot of fitters that didn't necessarily have a coaching background. I've seen out of y'all a lot more fruit come out of the results. It's just, I came in for an assessment with you and Nick, and it turned into half lesson, and I don't know how half fitting. We did the 7-wood fitting. It's just insane what all we went through in that process, and you can't necessarily do that if you just have someone that only knows the data.
Well, it's kind of like Ben was saying too, with talking about Michael Neff and gears. The coaches here, if you have an understanding of the implications of the equipment in terms of what the pattern's going to do, it makes it easier to determine okay, do I need to tackle what's the lowest hanging fruit, right? Is it the equipment? Is it their pattern? Maybe it's a little bit of both. It's different for each individual, and that's kind of the fun part, the appealing part about being in a performance context like this, because you have to know what you're talking about, right? And you have to know it's going to be most efficient and functional for each individual.
Makes sense. So I guess as you grew this, because when I first started coming here, it was just this side. Mm-hmm. What was the decision to open the membership bay component of the business?
Yeah, so first of all, it was a shell next door. So we're just kind of staring into an empty space next door. We launched February of 2020, so this is just barely pre-COVID. And We were just excited to get the doors open, get through the build out, negotiating terms with the landlord, and then all of a sudden COVID hits. Like, oh boy, I just convinced this team to come over here and work for IGP, take a chance, and here we are, Black Swan event, can't operate. So very fortunate, timing-wise, we were open for long enough to qualify for the PIP loan, and that allowed us to pay our guys, to sort of navigate those initial challenges, and then golf took off. It just boomed. So
It did.
partnering with Cool Clubs was amazing for us because we had folks coming through with Cool Clubs having such a great reputation on the custom club fitting side. Partnering with them was a great start for us. And golf took off, and it was good for us. So, first couple of years, ups and downs of growing a business, a startup, and at some point we sort of stabilized. Thought, this is sustainable. So we thought, there's a space next door. If we launch next door and we get this private site going, it'll be amazing for the business. And the reason that was even a thought is going back to the college coaching days, and the understanding of what's required to really truly improve. You need consistency, you need frequency, and you need meaningful feedback. And those three things were kind of hard to get just from a weekly or bi-weekly golf lesson. We need to make sure that there's enough frequency and that there's enough meaningful feedback for you to really work on what we just worked on. And for some folks, they can do it. They've got mirrors or cameras or a net set up, and they're pretty self-sufficient. And for others, like, dude, I leave your facility and I don't know what to do. I got 23 hours to mess this up for just today, and then I got like another 6 days or 7 days between sessions. So we've used Coach Now, as you guys know, to recap lessons, and we're uploading video recaps, we're uploading drills, we're uploading before and afters, we're drawing lines, we're speaking through these recaps, covering the details, even quizzing the player during the recap to make sure that they own it. And so as much as we can do to maintain retention of pertinent information, like what can I do to make this as accessible for you as possible when you leave this facility? That's all super important for us. But why not just build a space next door where folks can practice, and then the coaches are there? I was a college coach. I saw my kids every day. So, 5-10 minute touch points 5 days a week move the needle quite a bit versus maybe just a 1 hour lesson and I'll see you in a week or two, maybe. So that was really the idea behind it. And let's create more of a community. Let's create more of a team environment. I want to see you 4 days this week, know that you're able to come in and practice and get your work done. And in that space, if it's, I can stop by on the way home from work, I can get 45 minutes of good work in. It's super easy to park. I'm in a bay. I'm practicing. I got feedback. I've got a coach walking by if I need a quick checkpoint or some guidance. And, we encourage that. So, these simulators and these bays and this practice environment is not designed to replace golf. It's designed to augment your progression. And so if I can train in this environment, I can get that meaningful feedback. I can get the reps in where I wouldn't have otherwise. I can spend 10 minutes in here and get a lot more valuable information than perhaps spending 30 or 45 minutes or even 3 hours outside. Harris English just did a podcast with Smiley, and he was like, dude, once TrackMan came out with their performance center, I started playing better because I used to finish around, and if I didn't play well, I'd go bang balls for 3 hours, I'd leave the range, and I didn't know if I got better or not. Sometimes I felt like I got worse.
It's busy to be busy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm exhausted physically and mentally. He's like, now with Performance Center, there's an outcome every shot. There's a consequence, there's feedback, there's a tour average, how many strokes am I gaining relative to the tour average on that singular shot. So all of a sudden, I know this shot matters. There's a score attached to it. So he said, I started going through my routine every single shot of TrackMan Performance Center. He was like, dude, I practice for 30 minutes and I'm good. I'm not exhausted. I'm playing so much better as a result because that is specific to what I'm doing on the golf course. Going through a full routine and having a shot that actually matters versus maybe mindlessly banging a bunch of balls and eventually I find a rhythm and I feel really good about it and then you go out the next day, you're like, I lost it. So, you know, that environment's crucial. The technology, if used properly, is amazing. And then having these coaches guide each individual down their unique journey. You know, hey, you need block practice right now. You need 500 reps of this open palm drill. So put in the work. And then maybe they progress through that. And then, you know, we talked about periodization and development versus performance. Well, at some point, as you get closer to your tournament, we need to switch from developmental mode into performance mode. I need to go through my routine every time. I need to sweat a little bit. I need meaning on this shot and this outcome and consequence. So when I go to the course, I've already pressure tested myself. You know, and whatever misses showed up under pressure in practice, I'm navigating that before the tournament even begins. And now I can go to a tournament now, you know, now we're really prepared. And if that miss does show up, I know how to handle it. So that specificity is really important to transfer. And this environment allows for it. And, you know, I can mix this in with, you know, getting my practice on course, playing some competitive games with buddies and groups, and then obviously if it's a tournament player, you know, you go prep, you go through your practice rounds, and then you're ready to compete. You've got some simple focal points and intentions for that event that week. So I think, you know, that's kind of the ultimate, especially for, I think, you and you know, Collin in particular. It's like, you guys want to compete. There's a formula there that is unique to you, but is proven.
Well, and I want to circle back to the very first thing you said on it it's the accessibility of practice. And you know, I come from the real estate business. I know how much it costs to build out a space like that, especially with TrackMan technology. And I don't want to be disillusioned that it's not a profit generating for you, but that's a big pro forma to pencil out just to add accessibility to your, you know, the people coming, your clients here, because you're not forcing them to be a member just to come get lessons. So there's no guarantee that accessibility matters to certain people. So it's a big nut to bite off. But you did it because it's the right thing to do for what you're trying to grow here, and I think that's a big reason why we wanted to partner with y'all. Because you have the clients at the center of every decision, and yeah, it's a business model, and yeah, you make money on it, but it's clearly not why you did it, because that was not a cheap investment to do, and it certainly adds a ton of value.
Yeah, there's plenty of risk involved, but you're right. It's the consumer at the middle of every decision we make, and that's like what Collin alluded to. Like, I want to do what's right for that individual, and that's satisfying. And if it's, you know, utilizing the team or having our own mini victories, like at the end of the day, we just want those breakthroughs, those celebrations. And yeah, I mean, look, again, it goes back to like, if I'm a college golf team, I've got my community, I've got my coach, I've got my facility, and I've got these environments and I've got these goals in front of me. You know, there's something brewing there that's pretty meaningful. There's a culture. And so for us to provide that community for these golfers that are members at different clubs, some have never touched a club before, some are true beginners, some are playing every top 100 golf course on the list. You know, and then all of a sudden everybody's under one room, under one facility. It's like pretty cool to see some of the interactions, see the friendships that have blossomed, you know, with this kind of like-minded experience.
Oh yeah, the league nights are some of my most fun nights, and we all end up hitting balls and staying a little bit, and it's a good time. And we'll talk present day a little as we go. We're gonna have y'all in a routine spot on the podcast, and whether that's you two or any of the other coaches or Seth or anyone, right? You know, so I don't want to talk too much about present, but where from here? Because you've created a mecca of indoor golf, from training, fitting, fitness to just accessibility of practice. Not to forget that you have a putt view putting green and a nice little member lounge.
Build
This
shop.
plus a
build
build
shop.
shop. I mean, this is my home away from home. It feels like now. So where from here? What's the future?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like IGP 1.0 here. IGP 2.0, I think, is that private side next door. I think 3.0 is really kind of putting it all together. And we've got a space in Dallas that we'll start building out in August of 2026.
Awesome.
So we're going to launch, very likely grand opening January of 2027. And that's going to be off of 75 and Dyer Street near SMU.
It's a great spot.
That's a good.
It's another
location.
great spot to be in.
Yeah.
Bigger, smaller than this?
So interesting, bigger, 10,000 square feet with a 4,000 square foot gym.
Are you going to do more legitimate like racks and weights and
It will
everything?
be a fully functioning member access gym.
Okay, because this one's more mobility and flexibility, not necessarily weight training.
This is 800 square feet. There are racks, there's vault force frame, there's a lot of open space for movement, speed training, strength training. I mean, look, there's plenty of heavy weight to move around in there, but that's not really the MO for us.
Yeah.
You know, if it's strength and conditioning, by all means, like that's Seth's background actually. But range of motion, TPI stuff, you know, golf specific patterning, protocols, pre and post round, and also, you know, using some of the technology that we have, that vault force frame is really cool. Helps us identify imbalances.
Yeah.
Muscle activation is part of our sort of MO. So it's unique to each individual, but yeah, I mean, we've got a sled in there, we've got racks, we can move some heavy weight, but you know, Seth also spends equal amounts of time, you know, getting folks on the table and making sure
Stretching
that,
them out
that we're
and-
moving, right?
Yeah.
We're activating, that we've got that range, that mobility. So yeah, that's custom to each individual. So this gym is going to be a little more self-sufficient in terms of being able to go in and work out on your own when you please, 24/7.
What about the mental side? Are you going to add, because I know we talk mental as far as coaches and with you, but have you ever thought about partnering with a sports psychologist? And
Absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the, you know, fun aspects of coaching at Henderson State is I leveraged the sports psych department. And he became kind of like my assistant coach because he helped me navigate the challenges of, you know, I had 14 guys and I think 8 girls my freshman year. I'm like, I got 22 individuals here. You know, how do I help each one get, you know, move down that journey of improvement? And it was different for everyone. So yeah, absolutely, that's a crucial part of the business. And you know, we as coaches are pretty well versed and astute at, you know, hey, look, at the very bare minimum, here's a blueprint to follow, and here's why. And what is that blueprint? And is that something that I can understand? And can I execute it? And the way we coach it, by all means, that is something that you can start doing today. Jason, for some of your players, like some basic, like, hey, here's our blueprint in terms of visualization, keeping the, you know, our quiet eye on the ball and our mind's eye on the target, and then getting into that space of the blueprint where pretty much you just let it go. It's very tangible, it's very doable. It's something I learned from Jason Goldsmith, who is the mental coach for Jason Day and Justin Rose. Had some really cool technology that they use called Focus Band. So it's a neurofeedback tool. So yeah, there's stuff that we can do just within our coaching sessions that don't require perhaps, you know, a certified mental coach. But we do outsource some of the mental coaching cases to experts that we work with and trust. Having one in-house has always been part of our model, sort of that 4 pillars of coaching, club fitting, fitness, and all things performance optimization. And mental performance falls under that, periodization falls under that, structuring practice falls under that. And then also all things decade and course strategy and shot selection and target selection, that falls under that as well. So these are growing segments of the industry. Yeah, those are important pieces to parts of the whole, if you will.
I love that you're tracking that. We started this podcast. We said we were going to be extremely vulnerable and open, and we have been. And as far as like my golf game, relatively fine mental. As far as the execution, I will say I struggle with massive imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. When I am playing good, I go back to, you're not really good golfer. You're just hitting it fine right now. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of that long term, then it creeps in. Then I'm like, well, I'm just timing it right today. I need to fit in. Then I get in my head. So I've always said I need to go talk to someone for the imposter syndrome part of it, because it's bad.
Yeah.
I never feel, I stood on the box of the Texas State Open qualifier and saw these two guys stripe a 4-iron, and I'm over the ball with the same club, freaking out, and I stripe it too. And I there's no reason for me to have the imposter syndrome. I know I'm a good golfer, but I do. In the back of my head, I'm always doubting myself.
Yeah. Have you read any mental books that helped?
No.
He just needs a hype man.
Yeah, that's like, if I have a caddy in my bag, it is literally someone that just floods me with confidence and compliments the entire round.
Great caddy. Yeah. Great caddy. Just, blow smoke up my ass. And
it's all I need. Carry my bag and tell me how amazing I am.
Yeah. It's really funny. It reminds me, Andreas Cali, he's an amazing golf coach. Look him up. He runs the Danish Junior Golf Academy. And so he's got some absolute studs that I've seen him coaching for the last 10 years, and they're now winning DP World Tour events and top 50 in the world. One of his players won the British AM last year, qualified for the British Open. Now he's playing professionally. His name's Jakob Skov Olesen, and a really cool kid. Played at TCU, then Arkansas, and now he's just killing it. And he went to Arkansas and started playing really good. And Trey was like, what's going on? He goes, well, the coaches all tell me I'm really good. And Dre's like, yeah, you're good. But, what's happening? He's like, well, they're all really confident in me, and they keep telling me how good I am. And I believe it. And he's like, I just had a hell of a semester. And he says to Dre, and Dre says, well, is that what you want me to do? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm not doing that. He goes, that is not my job. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give you the truth, and I'm going to coach you up the way I've always coached you up. But I love the fact that these guys are telling you how freaking good you are.
Yeah.
And that helped you take your game to another level. So there's some truth to the hype man. Mm-hmm. But there's also a ton of substance behind what they've done. And it's
absolutely.
It reminds me, I always kind of go back to this Bob Rotella thing. I forget which book it was, but he started working with, I think it was the Champion's Mindset or something. LeBron went to Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob's worked with Coach K and Calipari, and he helped out University of Kentucky when they won their national titles, so he's got a little bit of a basketball background. Obviously, Dr. Bob is like the legendary golf coach. Golf's not a game of perfect. Your 15th club, the classics. So Coach Padraig Harrington to his major championships. So anyways, Dr. Bob, very much an ambitious type of mental coach where, like, hey, if you want to be, Scottie Scheffler and the number one player in the world, then I want to work with you. And so anyways, LeBron went to him. And long story short, it was funny, the Spurs basically, when LeBron was with Cleveland, just said, you can have that three-pointer. Like, go for it. We are not going to guard you. Like, you've got anything outside the three-point line, we're going to give you like 10 feet of space, but you're not going to go past us. You're not going to go through us. You're going to have trouble scoring in the paint. And so they just kind of teased him. And they literally, they'd just back off and give him that shot. And he struggled, and they got swept. So LeBron's like, oh man, I've got to develop this. If I want to really have longevity in my career, I've never been a huge LeBron fan. Dude, look at this guy. He's like 21 years in the league and still scoring at a high clip. He's still an MVP candidate. Dude's a freak. And he's changed his game, obviously. He's not the physical specimen he used to be. He still is, but, you can't take that wear and tear for 82 games and then another 30 playoff games or whatever. So Dr. Bob talked to LeBron about this, and he said, all right, you've got to develop your three-point game. Like, you need to be a three-level threat, and right now you're not. So, join the Lakers. He said, I want the Lakers organization to take every good three-point shot you've ever made and create a highlight reel. So they created a 5-minute highlight reel for LeBron, every three-pointer he's ever made. And Dr. Bob had him watch that every single day, multiple times a day. He'd wake up, he'd watch it, take a nap in the afternoon, fall asleep, watching his highlight reel, go to sleep, watching his highlight reel. And so, like, you know, just, and it's him. It's not like an AI video. These are actually LeBron three-pointers in the NBA. And the affirmation, the self-belief, the confidence, you know, the subconscious, all of a sudden, like, it's like, dude, I am pretty good. Like, I'm really good. Like, I don't care what Stephen A. Smith says. Like, I don't care what the stats say. I don't care that I was a 33% three-point shooter for a long time. Like, Bob always says, like, a good few holes is a sign of your potential. So sometimes we're like, oh, dude, I just freaked out. I blacked out. I shot 36. And then I shot 46. I woke up, came back to reality. Well, that 36 was literally a sign of your potential.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you deserve it or earned it yet, but, you know, that's what you're capable of, at the very least. And so, yeah, I think of that when, you know, somebody says they have an imposter syndrome. I'm like, dude, how many great shots have you hit in your life? Probably a ton. You've probably hit so many clutch shots. You've probably made so many putts practicing or even under pressure. And so it's just the replaying of those subconsciously. It's vivid. And now my belief system really kicks in. And now I'm confident based on the reality of that, not just lying to myself or trying to convince myself to believe in something that I don't really believe in. So that vivid replay of those experiences is essentially reps of you doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody who I coach, yeah, I don't know, I had like, you know, I had a stretch of 3 holes where I was 1 under. Yeah, we can do that for 18 holes. I mean, in reality, yeah, we're capable of doing it. You're 12 under 8 handicap, you went 1 under in the last 5. It's like, dude, you're capable of doing that. Now, we may need to clean up some of the other stuff and tighten the margins, and there's certainly things to work on. But, yeah, I think the belief system and the memory bank and you know, that ability to sort of, I've gone through it myself. I'm like, man, I hit the driver so bad today. And then I'll look at my stats. Dude, I only had 2 big misses, but like I had 12 amazing drives. Well, I need to clean up those misses, but I need to not forget about those drives that I hit that were really good. Instead of me like, dude, should I get a new driver? Do I need to like break things down, start over? No, correct those errors, get to work, but then also, know that it's pretty good. A lot of good shots there.
I think some of that goes to like the negativity bias too. Just gonna prioritize the bad things that happen. I write my good shots down after every round.
Yeah.
3 best shots, and it's like precise detail as I can. Like very, very specific. Pull a notebook, keep it in my golf bag, finish the round, 3 best shots, and then the one that I want back.
See, I
I
have
don't
a
frame
journal.
it as a bad shot.
I have a journal in my bag and I never use it. I need to use it.
Should not.
You've talked about I think it's like the 3-1 rule. Just
Yes.
like take the one that you want back, and then what are the 3 positives?
Yeah.
And then and we've talked like after Sunday, I was just like just a quick snapshot of like how I felt after we played. I was just like putting, I think was pretty solid. So I'm keeping that mid-range. Mid target was I think the drive off the tee. I was like mid. I was like okay, I could clean it up, but I wasn't horrible. Like I wasn't gonna beat myself up. But what kills me, where I think that whole negative talk comes in, is just I always get into that mindset of like I just can't get greens in regulation. I get the right club selection because my yardages are usually going just left, right a lot of times, and it's just why can't I do it?
Yeah.
And it gets in my head every time. It's like I know it's there, I can line up, and it's like I can't do it. And it's like that negative mindset is totally real. It hits everybody. It's hard.
Yeah, very real. I mean, so a book that all of our coaches have read and probably read regularly, maybe once a year, is Mindset. It's Carol Dweck. She talks about growth mindset. And basically, it's like learning from your mistakes, they're not failures if you learn from them. So learning opportunities, and then essentially, ultimately, if you can step up to a golf shot and accept the outcome before you even pull the trigger, you're in a good space, because that means there's no fear of outcome. I'm truly present. If I don't hit the shot that's desired, I know I'm just going to learn from it. I'm going to get better from it. And if I perform and I hit the shot I want, fantastic. Let's reinforce that and move on. So I think that's a cool spot to be in. And I wasn't there as a junior golfer. I was trying to be perfect. And if I made a mistake, it's like, no, I'm not perfect. Okay, well, now let's get mad.
Yeah.
And then your prefrontal cortex shuts down, and then it's like, now what?
How am I gonna get better?
Now you're probably toast for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a tough cycle to go through. And why are you getting mad? I don't know. I think maybe is it the ego? Is it the expectation? Is it because I want people to think that I have more expectations out of myself? What is it? Ultimately, you're preventing yourself from going through a functional feedback loop where you can learn from that error, correct it, and then get back on your horse and move on to the next. And so, being present is such a cliche, but like if you can truly be present, then there's a lot to be said for your ability to navigate challenging scenarios.
Yeah.
And there's some trust in your ability to, anticipate the back nine on the final round of Augusta. Like being excited for that moment or fearing that moment. And if you have that true growth mindset, you can accept it no matter what happens. I'm good. Bring on the challenge. And oftentimes you have a better chance of performing under those conditions. So easier said than done. Sometimes you need to put yourself in those positions first to learn from it, grow from it. Those are always fun to see when somebody maybe stumbles Tommy Freeway a bunch of times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then come through and win. And break through and win more than once. But yeah, that's always that's really at the, for integrity golf performance, the grit is highlighted.
Yeah.
And grit really stems from that growth mindset. And so grit's defined as essentially passion and perseverance towards a long-term goal. So, having a growth mindset is absolutely necessary. There's no parallel. And if I can approach golf that way, I'm going to hopefully, keep my cortisol levels slightly lower than, and sort of balance out and be able to, go bird's eye view every once in a while. I'm just going to see where I'm at. And you need to stay curious, you need to stay ambitious and hungry, but you also need to be able to just sort of, look at it from that perspective and take a deep breath, reset, get some guidance from those who you trust, and then get back on and keep plugging away and basically stacking wins every single day. If you keep doing that, you chip away and you can reach your goals. And for you, it's competing at a relatively high level. So a lot of it is kind of fostering that mindset and replaying those good shots, but also not being ignorant to what do I need to do to make sure that I can perform under pressure.
Yeah.
What do I do to make sure that my bad shots are still pretty good to get to that level? So that's what we did today.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's a perfect, spot to end this conversation wrapped up in. It's the grit. It's a perfect encompassing of what you clearly define your logo around that. It's what you've created this place around, is people being able to put the work in for that long-term goal. It's exactly why you spend time working with guys like me. It's amazing what you've created here. I'm glad to be in the family and have been in creating these relationships. So it's been amazing. It's a great facility.
Well, you guys are the reason we do this. And we're honored that you trust us with your game. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, he's been talking to you about you guys ever since we started the podcast, and it's amazing just hearing how you guys generated this, I want to say family, like with the members, with Alex, and I've only been here twice with you guys, and I feel it, and I feel the passion and the hospitality, everything that you've wanted to create is definitely coming through, and it's definitely a great product, and I'm glad we're a part of it. I'm glad I'm starting to get into it, joining you guys, and hopefully getting a little bit more in touch with you and just developing. Just for me, I'm not going to be a competitor. I just want to improve and build that consistency. And you've hit on it, just like the consistency, the frequency, just having the access, just coming in 24/7. Just like I'll wake up at 3 a.m. if I need to. I will. I mean, I wake up at 4 and go work out just so I can get it in with my work schedule and the little ones at home. And so I will, put that work, the grit in. Just it's incredible what you guys got here. And even the crash course lesson I got from him, I got 4 things in 15 minutes, and my brain's just like, what the hell?
Like we were supposed to just like be testing
stuff.
And then I was like, I can get it.
Well, might as well do this for
He's
real.
like, your posture's shit. And I was like, okay, all right, well, that's part of why I'm here. Like, fix me. And then it's like, get rid of the Kardashian ass and get rid of the push your feet forward and, straighten up this and that. And I will say, even after that crash course, I played like 5 holes the next day. And I've had low back issues for it started from something else, but it is that left side that drives. And then playing, my back was sore, but not in the same soreness that it was, because he was telling me, like, get that spine in a better posture, and then let's focus on that, because I know that was the part that was hurting me. And now I'm just thinking, getting that foot flared out, spine posture, just kind of just the 2 things right now. And I'm excited to just kind of get with that going, getting that automatic feel, so I'm not like sitting there like rolling my ass and doing all that stuff. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that. And that's for us. It's attention to detail. It's understanding the contribution of each joint. And at the end of the day, it looks really pretty. Like for you, navigating what's happening in the backswing and losing the inclination. All of a sudden, you get everything working together, and the swing just looks like one.
It comes together.
And for us, it's absolutely crucial because that's also normal range of motion that is repeatable, functional, athletic, allows you to perform. Whereas for you, you were in a position where you were really compromising on the back and putting yourself in a position to get hurt.
And making it harder to hit good golf shots.
And that's just what it is. It's like I just need that repetition, so when I get off the course, I'm like, I'm not in pain, and it takes me 3 days just to feel good to even practice it again. I mean, that's huge. I mean, this back issue is a big problem, and the compensation is a big thing that, like the crutch you saying with the guys, like you fit a club because they're doing this wrong, but then when you fix them now, the club's doing something completely different. You got to go through that process again.
It's a little counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I don't think AI is going to replace us yet.
No.
As golf
No,
coaches.
it's going to be a tough one.
There's a pretty detailed flow that you can navigate through for each individual. But yeah, that's what's fun for us. Like Collin said, solving these puzzles. Just sort of putting these puzzle pieces into place, and then it's the cool stuff where you get to talk about the other things such as scoring and pre-shot, shot, and mental game, and all those strategies.
Well, and that's part of this partnership. We're not going to give all the puzzle pieces, but we're definitely going to give a handful of puzzle pieces and hand those out and talk through them and do some videos. And I look forward to that content and taking up even more of y'all's time. But it's I'm excited to bring some of those puzzle pieces so that people can get little tidbits, and that plants the nugget of where people want to make long-term changes over time.
All for it. Moving forward, how can we add value to your listeners? If they have questions, if they want to send in swing videos, we want to pick one to break down.
That sounds fun.
Figure out ways to provide some sort of value in terms of, hey, this is a drill that is pretty universal. Everybody can benefit from, and then get some feedback. I'd love to provide some value in that regard.
I mean, at this point, you might as well just take over the sign-off for me. I mean, you already hit the major one here.
Yeah, I mean, it's done.
Just a natural. We have our email, scramblingdads@gmail.com. More than happy to get those videos and forward them on. And any questions, I think the value comes from I'm going to say working parents. Obviously, we're dads. We tailor more towards the male demographic. But what can working parents that want to get better at golf do with raising kids, and some of those drills and just little tidbits of what's a 5-minute thing I can do while stirring spaghetti by my pot, right? I think those little tidbits would be amazing. But
And then I'll kind of put the cherry on top. You know, how can we as scrambling dads maybe pass the game on to that next generation?
Yeah.
I think there's some ways to do that to keep it fun and exciting and enjoyable. And, you know, multi-sports, multi-development, but also foster a love for the game.
absolutely,
There's some ways to do that as well, so we can touch on that next time.
absolutely.
That's for sure. I mean, you're in the competitive mode. I'm in more just for the love of the game now and making that happen and continuing it forward.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Y'all have anything else?
Good. That was awesome.
That was
Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate your time. As always, everyone, we are available on, now available on Apple and Amazon.
Yes,
I
we're
opened
expanding.
that up. We're expanding. As always, YouTube and Spotify. But thank you for your time, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.